The beginning of the Gospel of Matthew. An account of the genealogy of Jesus the Messiah, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Abraham was the father of Isaac, and Isaac the father of Jacob, and Jacob the father of Judah and his brothers, and Judah the father of Perez and Zerah by Tamar, and Perez the father of Hezron, and Hezron the father of Aram, and Aram the father of Amminadab, and Amminadab the father of Nahshon, and Nahshon the father of Salmon, and Salmon the father of Boaz by Rahab, and Boaz the father of Obed by Ruth, and Obed the father of Jesse, and Jesse the father of King David. And David was the father of Solomon by the wife of Uriah, and Solomon the father of Rehoboam, and Rehoboam the father of Abijah, and Abijah the father of Asaph, and Asaph the father of Jehoshaphat, and Jehoshaphat the father of Joram, and Joram the father of Uzziah, and Uzziah the father of Jotham, and Jotham the father of Ahaz, and Ahaz the father of Hezekiah, and Hezekiah the father of Manasseh, and Manasseh the father of Amos, and Amos the father of Josiah, and Josiah the father of Jeconiah and his brothers, at the time of the deportation to Babylon. And after the deportation to Babylon, Jeconiah was the father of Salathiel, and Salathiel the father of Zerubbabel, and Zerubbabel the father of Abiud, and Abiud the father of Eliakim, and Eliakim the father of Azor, and Azor the father of Zadok, and Zadok the father of Achim, and Achim the father of Eliud, and Eliud the father of Eleazar, and Eleazar the father of Mathan, and Mathan the father of Jacob, and Jacob the father of Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom Jesus was born, who is called the Messiah. So all the generations from Abraham to David are 14 generations, and from David to the deportation to Babylon, 14 generations, and from the deportation to Babylon to the Messiah, 14 generations. And if you have stayed awake through that litany of names, you will, I suspect, be giving thanks that that passage wasn't given to you to read out aloud in church. It's quite a tongue twister. But it's a very remarkable tongue twister. Have you ever had someone say to you, "Do you know there's more to him or to her than meets the eye?" In a sense, that's what Matthew is doing by placing this genealogy right at the start of his gospel. It's a curious genealogy. You might have noticed that he has an obsession with 14. 3 lots of 14 take us from Abraham to Jesus. That's probably not literally, historically true, but it's very neat. There's symbolism there. If you are into numerology, and at that point in the Jewish faith, there were people who were very into numerology, then it makes deep theological sense to know that Jesus is the product of those 3 generations of 14, which make 42. To us now, that seems an irrelevance, but it's making a theological statement. A larger theological statement is made by the presence of the 4 women that were in that genealogy, each of whom has a slightly curious story, shall we say. Go back and fish out the names and look up the stories around them in the Bible, and you will see what I mean. Let's just be clear that it's very unusual in something of this kind to put in the names of a few mothers as well as the fathers. There's more to this guy than meets the eye, Matthew is saying. We are getting close to Christmas. It's little over a week away now. And we are called to remember, as we celebrate again the birth in Bethlehem, we are called to remember there's an awful lot more than meets the eye with Jesus. Some of that begins to be plain as we hear the stories both around his birth and his adult ministry. The visit that Matthew will tell us about in chapter 2 of the Gospel, the visit of those strange people from the east, the Magi. That's a slightly curious early set of greetings from these people who have come from a long way away, bringing very obscure gifts to the baby or the infant. And thus it continues in his adult ministry. There's a lot more to Jesus than meets the eye. That is true when we see him dying in agony on the cross, feeling deserted by God, and it's true on Easter Sunday morning. We are called to remember that as we celebrate Christmas, which can sometimes be just a little bit over-romanticized, can't it? We are called to remember that there is so much more to Jesus than meets the eye, because in Jesus, God has become incarnate. And the most wonderful Christmas present of all is that God becomes incarnate so that humans might become divine. It really doesn't get any better than that. And all of that is flagged up by that skillful writer we call Matthew. All of that is contained in its obscure, curious way in that remarkable list of names. Enjoy them. They are there to bring us the start of what is truly good news. Amen.